Hello everyone, welcome to Wireframe Radio. In this episode, we talk to Yatin Thakur of Coworkin, which is a network of co-working spaces in India. We spoke a little about his entrepreneurial journey from the age of 16, his experiences organizing Startup Weekend, and why he's passionate about the power of co-working spaces. Let's get started. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with your startup ventures and what it's been like so far.
All right. So my history has been I'm a hardcore startup guy. All I know in my life is startups. I started my first company when I was 16 and I was still in high school. I got into telecom sector. At that point of time, it was booming. This was in 2003, 2004, when data services had just opened up in India, and a lot of there was a lot of traction towards premium content. Colored handsets had just arrived in the market. You had those Series 40 Nokia phones and a bunch of Sony Ericsson colored screen phones. I don't know if you remember that era.
In all different shapes and sizes.
Oh yeah, crazy. But the good part was there were just like limited 10, 12 handsets in the market, which you could count, and you could make content for those handsets. So I actually started supplying premium content to mobile carriers and publishers in different parts of India.
Okay.
My deal was simple. I used to buy content or like source content from Eastern Europe, and I used to sell it in India. Whatever was the demand for content, I used to bring it. Content used to include ringtones, theme packs, wallpapers, videos after a point of time, and games. Like now you can make any song your ringtone, right? At that point of time, you had to have specific formatted content which used to work on those phones. So I used to source all of that. That's been my journey. I started my first company over there, but as you know, the telecom boom in India hasn't been so great. Thanks to our politicians and thanks to our policies, the market was always fluctuating. And it was very difficult for a company to survive in this sector, primarily because in India, the network providers try to monopolize the whole market, and they are basically the carriers, as they are called, right? And a mobile carrier's job is to just facilitate the network. Their job is not to control the network, and that's what we are talking even today after 12 years about net neutrality, right? So that was my problem with the industry, that it was being controlled, and publishers like mine who used to work their ass off to get content from different places used to get paid peanuts. So we used to put up our content on Airtel Live, on Vodafone, with India Times or whatever stuff. Like we used to give them revenue worth like anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 a day, and I was not even paid $1,000 out of that. That was industry. That was fucked up in the scene. So anyway, so life moved on. I kept sticking on to the company. I thought I really liked mobile content and games at that point of time as a high school kid or whatever you say. So I said, well, I should keep this going in some manner, but I got to think about other alternates as well. So that was the time when I got into multiple domains. At one point of time, I used to own a BPO. Then I got involved with a digital media company. So if you see those outdoor digital signage screens, the LCD screens at public spots, I used to be part of one of the companies which was providing, which was actually deploying those screens and then putting up digital content on that. So it was an interesting journey at that point of time. That was again a startup where there were a bunch of ex-corporate guys who joined hands, who had quit their jobs, and they opened this company, worked their ass off, and finally managed to managed to raise about $500,000 at that point of time
Okay.
take their idea forward. So at that point, that was my first experience to angel funding, or rather angel investment,
Okay.
and to figure out how the hell this whole equity business works out. I was still a high school kid. I didn't understand all these jargons. Uh, Startups didn't exist as a word.
Yeah.
People couldn't spell, or they couldn't spell entrepreneur
Entrepreneur.
properly.
Yeah.
They couldn't even pronounce it.
Yeah.
So it was a tough time, and like it was a tough situation. Anyways,
What year was
so
this, by the way?
so my digital media company was in 2007.
Okay. Okay.
So I was like, by that time I had turned about what, 21, I think, 20. Sorry, I started at 16.
Mhm.
2007, I turned 20. I was like, okay, something is happening. I used to get a big fat paycheck at that point of time because we were well funded. I used to sit on the board, like I was one of the directors. So I used to be on the
Okay.
board of directors. It was a luxurious life.
Okay.
Lived it for 3 4 months. Then I realized, shit, what am I doing? It's just for like I'm just 20, and I've got this life, but I really don't want to live this life. Like, it's a cool, funky position. You just go to office. There's no accountability. And why is that happening? And what have I done? Nothing. So I got to make some serious impact.
Okay.
So that's where I was sort of getting too inclined to get into the education sector.
Hmm.
So I got involved. I actually launched an education company,
Okay.
which was called Optamaze
Hmm.
Corporate Solutions. So you might see it in my LinkedIn profile somewhere.
Okay.
So under this company, I was basically trying to be a finishing school. Again,
Hmm.
finishing school didn't exist as a term at that point of time.
Okay.
So vocational training or skill development never existed. My deal was clear. I was 20. I was passing out of college. I still had something in hand. I
Hmm.
knew where my life was going. But I had my friends passing out of college and other peers who who had no idea about what do they want to do in life, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, I've done graduation, I've done engineering, I've done my bachelor's in commerce. What do I do
Okay.
next? Oh, you know what? I'll do MBA. Why will I do that?
Yeah. People.
And what will you do MBA in? Oh, I'll do MBA in finance. Why? Because I want to be an investment banker. Do you think at the age of
So,
21 you can be an investment banker? What do you know about investments?
yeah.
So so these were the things which used to bother me, and I was like really challenging all these things.
So
That
these things still happen today, by the way. So like, so Karthik
I
and I are going to pass out this year out of college. So
Which
we're
college
like,
are you guys in?
we're
We're
in
from
Manipal.
Manipal
Oh wow,
Institute.
awesome!
Yeah.
I love that college.
So we have our classmates who are like, yeah, so we're writing the GRE, we're going to do GMAT, we're now going to apply to these list of colleges. And
Yeah,
that's all they talked about over this past few months. So it's colleges or placements.
Yeah, and the placements are also like always like they need to go and work at a big company because that's all they could possibly do, and no one really
that,
thinks about any alternatives.
so that was my challenge with this country. I said we have so much of talent, but we are trying to be a factory.
Hmm.
Okay, and everyone is like, thug, these are your 18 years of life or whatever, right? Or 20 years of life. Go to school, score 95%, get into the best college, be in an IIT, be in an IIM,
Yeah.
yeah. And then what do you do next? You fucking work for a corporate. Sorry, pardon my language. And then, and I'm telling you my real life incident. So I launched
Hmm.
this education company. I said, okay, there are a lot of corporates recruiting people. They have a lot of issue of retaining them and training them even, and they don't even know whether these are the right suitable people for them. So that's where I was like, we got to do something more substantial.
Hmm.
So how about me creating jobs for these kids while they are in college? And
Right.
how about I provide a free workforce to to the corporates in form of interns. Like while I was just like about to crack my business model, set up my portals and whatnot shit, 2008 approached, 2008 came in.
Okay.
And it was summer of 2008 when US declared recession. And then what do you do next? That's where things change. And all of a sudden you realize there aren't any jobs available in the market now. People don't want to employ people. Like so employment, so till like 2007-8, India was growing fine. Like you had good jobs coming in, and there were good pay packages. Like a lot of stuff was happening.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you saw like things are slowing down. Why? Just because West decides to pull off, does your country stop functioning? It can't, right? You've got to be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
So that was an annoying factor. And at that point of time, I actually got into serious skill development at a level below where I was from the level where I was working, and I started working in the blue collar space.
Okay.
I got into the security sector, which was funny. And in the security sector, I supported a few state governments in launching security training academies which create direct employment. The way that works is all the security guards which you see on the streets anywhere outside the building, everywhere, these security guards are supposed to carry a license now. They are not allowed to be a security guard without a license. And for them to get a license, they need to undergo training. Government created a law, special law, to sort of enforce this licensing act, but they don't know what kind of training to provide them. And when the 2008 fuck up happened, that's when they realized we got to train people more seriously, and we got to like these people can be our real saviors before even the police or the paramilitary forces take over. So how can we train them to be more alert, more attentive, and sort of subside the grassroots situation? So they had a noble cause, but they had no idea how to do it, and that's where I pitched in. I realigned the vision of my company, or rather, I pivoted and launched a security company out of my existing corporate training company, which I ran for about a year and a half. So I ran my total company for 2.5 years, out of which for 1.5 years I was working in the security space. Interestingly, that company does revenues worth $20 million now, and I'm no longer a part of it.
All right. But you do own equity, right?
No, I don't own equity.
Oh,
because I was, again, 21, didn't understand this whole equity business. I was owning the company, but I didn't know how do you control shares, how do you retain ownership and stuff. And on top of that, I was working in security sector, which is like one of the most dangerous sectors to work in. And I was working with all the politicians and
that seems like
investigators. And I got a lot of insights, by the way. I had a real fun time working with the army guys. So from retired major general to lieutenant general to brigadiers to colonels to even junior commissioned and non-commissioned officer, I created employment opportunities for everyone in the system. That gave me satisfaction, right? And I was creating grassroots impact. That gave me satisfaction. Those guys are professionals, but the people who control them, which is the business community and the political community, so to say, they are the real culprits to be blamed for where India is today. And that's what I realized at the age of 21 or 22. So that was the time I decided, okay, I got to quit and I got to clean up this country a bit. But at the same time, I got to run my business. So what I'll do, I don't know, but I got to reach out to the grassroots communities in some ways. That was my intent. So took a sabbatical. By that time, 2009, 2010 had passed. 2011, I finally decided, okay, I got to work with grassroots communities. I need to reach out to non-profit organizations who are doing some good work in the country, give them some reins, try to make their businesses sustainable, and see how we can bring about a change in some ways. So yeah, that's been my story. So 2011 onwards, I started doing all my social work. Then one fine day towards the end of 2011, in November 2011, an accident happened where a co-working space called Moonlighting was about to get shut in Delhi. And I knew about the space because I lived literally 5-7 minutes away from there. And I had done a bunch of meetups over there. Co-working space as a concept never existed in this country, so to say. Yeah, and with Moonlighting, the model was if you are in Delhi and if you are struggling, that's the place to be in. You want a place to crash, you want a place to launch your business, you want to do any free social event, that place is accessible. And it works on basic contributions. So such a noble thought, so much of power, but unfortunately no one in this city came forward to sustain it. Founder of Moonlighting, when he was in Delhi, to shut his shop. He was based out of France at that point of time. I came in and I told him, dude, you can't close the space. He was like, why? Who are you? I said, well, it has a power to change. It has a power to do so many things. This needs to be going. I was very, very adamant, and I got stuck up that no, this cannot go, we can do this, we can do that. He got sick and tired of me, and he finally said, okay, you know what, here's the key. I'll give you a month, run it. If you are not able to run it, we'll close it. By the way, by this time, when I was doing this, I had already gone bankrupt twice. So I was out of my bankruptcy. I used to earn like some 8,000-10,000 rupees a month in a city like Delhi. I had a few startups which I exited. My telecom company, I was trying to revive it at that point of time. So I was in a shit shape, but I said, let me do it. Let's see what happens. I just took it over and started running it. 1.5 months, we started breaking even. We actually started making money. I think it was towards December 2011 or January of 2012. Startup Weekend folks from Delhi sort of approached me and they said, well, would you like to organize a startup weekend? And I had no clue what a startup weekend is. And finally, like, I figured out my ways and I started organizing startup weekend.
Could you let us know more about what startup weekend does?
Just for the listeners, so in case there's somebody listening. And
all right, so at startup weekend, the deal is simple. You have an idea, or if you're frustrated with your job, or are you getting out of college and you don't know what to do in life, just go to a startup weekend, pitch your idea, get some votes, validate your idea over the weekend, and launch your startup by the end of the weekend. So that's what we do. So I got involved in it in 2012. The lead organizer who pulled me into it, from whom I got a lot of training on how to do startup weekends, now happens to be the India partner of 500 startups, Pankaj Jain. So it's been like a funny journey. Like the guys who sheltered us and who became organizers with us, one of the guys, Abhishek Gupta, the guy who heads T Labs, most of the accelerators, incubators, angel investors, VCs have been a part of our events. Companies like Paytm or 197 know me when I was a kid, and they sort of rescued me during my bad days when I was bankrupt. And then they always supported us when we were trying to organize an event and didn't have enough funds to buy people t-shirts or buy them proper food. And now, like, all these guys have gone to the next level, and I think I personally owe each one of them something. And it was clear, like, to enable people to make a change, you got to make them entrepreneurs. And to make them entrepreneurs, you got to provide them the right support. So startup weekends and co-working spaces sort of started going hand in hand, and I kept growing both of them. At startup weekend now, we have done about 65 plus events in India, and we have done at least, I think, 15 to 20, maybe more, boot camps or side events. We have created a community of about 120 organizers from around the country who are like the most network people in the startup ecosystem. And we have been able to, I think, produce over 500 plus companies out of that. So that's been the story of Startup Weekend. In 2013, I decided to focus more actively and seriously on co-working spaces, because when you grow startup movements, you need the right shelter for people to consolidate all their ideas, to exchange their problems, and to sort of interact with other people who are sinking in the same ship. So that's where I launched another co-working brand name called Coworkin. And since like last year and a half, I've been just like driving these things together, scaling up startup weekends, launching more co-working spaces, providing
So
more.
where all are you based in right now, your co-working spaces?
Right now we have two spaces in Delhi, and we have one space in Gurgaon. We are opening our second space soon. Besides that, we have a space in Chandigarh.
Okay.
So I got actively involved in the startup ecosystem in Chandigarh because I wanted to see how a new city would look like for startup ecosystem.
Okay.
Is the bubble restricted to Delhi or Bangalore, or can we actually make a change in other cities? Was something I wanted to experience myself, and to my surprise, it is working out, and it has gone to like it is working out in newer cities as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely lots of people with startup ideas, not just in the like tier one cities, and as long as they get the place to like maybe try out their ideas and work with other people, they can do
Absolutely,
a lot more.
absolutely. That's why co-working spaces are key, and you need the right people driving those spaces, and they should be able to foster the community as well. Through co-working spaces, you can actually practically run a startup weekend every day, which is
And you're
the
just
best
basically
part of
giving
it.
resources to people that they get the information and the connection to whatever, like people who are in startups and maybe like basic resources like internet and such. And I guess it's a great place to like find your co-founder or whatever.
Absolutely, anything, man. Like from co-founder to investor to people whom you can work with, or if you want to recruit anyone, everything is under a shelter. If you aren't able to find anyone, just do an event over there. So many people turn up, you give some free beer, and you are sorted. So things for which you had to spend tons and tons of money earlier, like something like a job fair or something like a tech workshop or an investor pitching session, everything happens in less than $20 at a co-working space.
Yeah, it's true. I think like running a startup itself is a lot cheaper, especially in the tech space. Like before, it used to cost a lot to like set up your own servers now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one thing is for sure, technology has moved on. So yeah, with cloud computing coming in, remote servers, mobile applications, things have become much simpler now. But still, with co-working spaces, I think your cost of investment on an idea goes down by at least 1/15th time.
Yeah, and it kind of allows you to validate your assumptions and like you can follow the lean startup kind of model where
not only that, all the people who are working are going through the same issue. Everyone is struggling to sell their idea. Everyone is struggling to get customers. Everyone is trying to raise money. Everyone is trying to hire people. So there are so many common things which you can do, and the cost automatically becomes cheaper. So let's say you and I want to are working on the separate idea, but we need a designer, right? Designer's job is to do the UI. Designer doesn't care whether they are working for you or for me, as long as they are paid, right? and a designer costs, let's say, 50,000 rupees a month. I cannot afford it, but if there are 2 or 3 people, affordability automatically comes in. Similarly, that designer also works from there. So designer says, you know what, you guys are struggling. Let me do the same work for you for 20,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or 10,000. So because of the relationships which you foster over there, it pays you back.
Definitely.
Cost saving is a big thing in a co-working space. And other than that, there are so many things which can be done.
Okay. I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of the different advantages of co-working space, because a lot of the people I've spoken to agree that it's a good way to save rent, but not a lot of people talk about the other advantages that there are.
That's why if you read the Quartz article, I tried to highlight a few things where first thing was stop working in silos, work together.
Yeah.
That's why at a co-working space you collaborate. Yeah. Sure. Right.
There's this company in Bangalore as well where they got their own office space, but they in the end they started like kind of leasing out parts of it, to other startups so that they could get space to work. Hacker rank.
A lot of people are doing that now, and a lot of people call it a co-working space, but that's the thing. Co-working space needs to have a combination of all. It's just not about working together. It's about collaborating with other people. It's about connecting with other people. So what will be your other bet to collaborate and connect? None, right? If you meet someone at a conference, you might be able to connect with them. Can you collaborate with them? Maybe not. You meet them once. You might follow up. Then you'll have follow-up meetings. Again, not happens. You got to see those people on a daily basis, right? That's what co-working allows you to do. Secondly, again, to work together, you have to spend a lot of time together, brainstorm a lot. And for that, again, so it's all about meeting everyone on a daily basis and forming that relationship. Then you form a consortium, right? So, hey guys, we are now 20 startups together. Out of 20, about 15 are trying to hire people. About 6 of us are trying to raise money. About 8 of us are struggling with designing, and 10 are struggling with technology. What do we do? That's the power. So that's what people have to understand. And if you understand that, you are done. That's where these things play a role. So you go to an investor, and the minute you say, well, there are 6 companies looking for investment, are you interested? He will literally spend 15 days at your space because they struggle in striking one deal, and you're giving them 6 potential deals, right? With the most talented people. You go to a college and you say, we are 20 companies trying to hire 5 people each, so we have 100 jobs available with us. College will send their guys to your premise. So there's so much which you can do.
Are you on good terms with the other co-working spaces, maybe social?
I try to be, frankly. A social is not a co-working space, please. Riyaz Amlani took a lot of ideas from me. He's a good friend. Especially his other partners as well. But it's a cafe, man. It's a restaurant.
That's true. I've never actually seen anybody with a laptop at socials, although I would love the idea.
I feel like there's some other location in socials where they have the computers.
So if you come to Delhi, they have those facilities. They provide Wi-Fi, but it's a shitty Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And it's very noisy. So if you are a coder, you cannot work out of a club. It is like a club in the evening.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It is a club in the evening for sure.
So, and even during the day, you have kids hanging around over there, clicking selfies and posting pictures. So yes, co-working spaces have to be cool, but at the same time, they need to be a little serious, right? It needs to provide you a proper working environment. So, which is missing from there. But it's a good space. It's a good concept, and they provide cheap food, which is good. 91 Springboard, I was one of the force to help them in launching 91 Springboard in Delhi. So I was the person who got them Dave McClure for the launch because I didn't have time to host him at my co-working space because I was busy facilitating Startup Weekend. Tech Hub in Bangalore, Java in Bangalore, uh, the place in Bombay. They're all friends, so I'm always in good terms with all of them because for me it's not a competition. It's more about bringing communities together, and anyone who who's able to bring community together, I respect them and I support them fully.
Like any big startup that you've had a role in like helping, or do you have any like good success stories of companies that were based in?
Have you heard of Oyo Rooms?
Yeah.
That started out of our space.
Oh, okay, nice. So was this in Delhi?
Yes, that was in Delhi. So
Okay.
Ritesh started Oracle. I think he even registered his company at our co-working space.
Okay.
Yeah, but he stayed there for a short time, was in touch with me.
Okay.
Then Ridingo, if you know about them.
Yes, the ride sharing app, right?
Yes, so Ridingo, Guyvardhan, he started at a Startup Weekend.
Okay.
There's another one called Nai Dasha. It's a education gaming company.
Okay.
Recently got funded by the founder of CX Partners. So that was started at a Startup Weekend. So there are a lot of companies which were started at Startup Weekend or got sheltered at Coworkin, and then something or the other, and there's so many of them. Yeah, I've lost the track of things and people because there are just too many.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stories which keep coming now, where people who started out of our space probably 3 years back are raising money now, or they're scaling up now, or they moved on and now they are in the papers and all. Because at a co-working space, the duration for which you stay at a co-working space is very, very less. It sort of accelerates your performance so much that you grow so quickly in a few months, and then you have to move out because at a co-working space we cannot shelter companies which are like 20 people big or even 10 people big.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You got to keep teams small. So the minute you scale up, you go. And every time we ask you to leave, that's our success story.
Yeah, nice, awesome. All right, it's been great talking to you, Yatin.
Yeah.
Same here, guys. Let me know if I can be of any help.
Yeah, sure. So when we're in Delhi sometime, maybe we could meet.
Absolutely, just give me a shout.
Yeah, sure.
And check out my spaces.
Yeah. Do you want to say something to the listener? Sort of make a plug or something?
I would just say stop listening, start doing.
At a co-working space.
At a co-working space is always there to help you.
Yeah.